And welcome back for breakfast skillet. This is great for using your leftover gravy from your biscuits and gravy, and was actually a uh, request from my stepmom on doing a video for. So I like to use the red potatoes when I'm doing fried potatoes, just because one, I don't have to peel them, and two, I like the consistency a little bit better. So these are just going to get sliced and diced, which not a big deal. So I'll speed that up here for you. And depending on how many people you're feeding, uh, I kind of try to gauge that for how many I'm making. Uh, you can either do these on a hot skillet or you can do them in the air fryer. So lately I prefer to do them in the air fryer. I don't have to use nearly as much oil and they turn out just as good. Maybe not quite as crispy because we do like our potatoes crispy. I also like to save any ingredients from throughout breakfasts through the week, whether it's bacon or sausage or anything that is left over that you might like in your breakfast skillet is usually what I keep hold of. One little tip is to rinse your potatoes really well. I usually rinse them 2 or 3 times, depending on how starchy they are. It will actually help them to not stick. When I first started making fried potatoes years ago, I could not figure out how to not get them to stick. And of course, not having a mother to help me with that, I had to learn the hard way. And I just figured out if you rinse them really well, then you don't have to worry about them sticking as much. And to use a hot skillet if you're doing them in a skillet. I try to douse out as much of the moisture as I can. And the 2 bowl system just works for me. And then I'll drizzle some olive oil over it and kind of toss them around. Tossing can be messy, especially when you're first learning. So uh, do your best. And that's usually it for the oil. Of course, cracked pepper. We go through a lot of cracked pepper here on the homestead. Give it a little bit of a shake. And that's camera fall number 1. So frustrating. All right, back to work. So toss in a little bit more cracked pepper. And then I use a Montreal steak seasoning. After trying several different seasonings in my fried potatoes, I absolutely love this Montreal steak. I actually use it in quite a few things, quite a few dishes that I make. And I just drizzle it to your heart's content. Throw in a little sprinkle of love. Of course, there's Lawry's seasoning salt. Gotta love that. That adds just a little bit of extra kick to it. I ran out in my jar, so I had to get into my hard stock and refill my jar. Toss those around. I find that when you use the Lawry's, you don't necessarily have to use as much salt either, which is good if you're watching your sodium. And I just pour those right into the air fryer. And the little bit of liquid and seasonings that's underneath, I just pour that right on over. And that goes in the air fryer. So I'll start with 15 minutes. I usually end up having to add more. There again, got to keep your workspace clean. So if you need to pause the video and clean up your mess and do your dishes, go for it. And here's our leftover sausage. So yumminess there. Warm that up. And from breakfast the other day, I had just a couple of pieces of bacon left over. So those make great crumble for the top. So I use my kitchen scissors and just break those apart. Just a part of food prep. And drop number 2 of the camera. Doesn't look like I got my camera as clean as I should have. And freshly shredded cheddar cheese. And 2 sausage patties, which is more than enough for 3 people. So I usually just put those in fall number 4. Or are we on 3? I don't know. And put those in the microwave for just around 30 seconds just to get them softened a little bit. I don't like them hot because I like to cook them over a skillet, but just soft enough that I can chop them. I kind of just cube them up. More things to throw on the skillet. And my favorite sausage, when it's not my own, is the sausage from Aldi. These come in a big bag, and they come in 2 flavors, like the maple and the regular. And I do not like the maple, but I do like the regular. And so those are kind of our go-to sausage patties. Keeping her clean. And then I kind of just get ready to prepare my hot plates of goodies. So I'll throw these in the skillet and get them browned, being careful not to overcook them. And fall number 5. I was getting really frustrated, so I need to come up with a different way to record the videos. I love the perspective of having a suction cup to the vent, but it's clearly not working. And normally I edit those out, but I left them in because I am over it. So I am now going to just mount the camera to the micro or to my dishwasher. It's not as good, and I'm going to have to learn to use my left hand more than my right because I don't want to block what I'm doing, but that's what I'm going to have to do. So that's kind of why I left all of those camera falls in there, so y'all knew why the perspective changed, because I did drop this in the frying pan of the sausage, and the GoPros are not cheap. So here I am just gonna rewarm up that bacon, crisp it up a little bit. And this is actually a really budget-friendly meal also, because you're utilizing your leftovers and you're not having to, cook a whole thing with all brand new ingredients. So, okay, well, it was a budget menu until you factor in eggs right now. Which I probably could have done 1 less egg. And salt and pepper to taste. And I scramble right in my skillet. I typically don't like to dirty a dish just to scramble an egg. So I use this method, and it's worked well for me for years. I will scramble the eggs depending on the dish that I am making. If I feel that it will benefit to scramble them prior, then yes, I do. If not, then I actually like the 2 different textures you get when you scramble them in a skillet. So you just get those done to however you like them. One of my sons likes eggs not done so much, and the others like them done well, so I kind of do them in the middle. And now it's time to plate. And I usually will plate Jason's first. Call me old fashioned. I don't, it doesn't matter what you call me, but I'll plate up his plate first. And um, so I layer down a bunch of potatoes. And the skillets will grow, so it may not look like a lot, but by the time you're done adding all your layers, it gets extremely large. So you could also add green peppers, tomatoes, sour cream, salsa, whatever your heart desires. It's just a great way to use up all of your ingredients that you might have left over. I've also been known when we do go out to eat, which is very rare, but I will actually order a skillet and I order it just how I make it. It's just kind of goofy because I can make it at home, but I just drizzle on a little bit of that sausage and some cheese. Top it with a little bit of bacon, and voila, you have a breakfast skillet. It's hearty, it's yummy, it's a crowd pleaser, and super easy and super budget friendly. So enjoy.